Hello, this is the Useless Ideas podcast. I am Matthew Churchill.
And alongside him, I don't know how to speak, apparently.
Curtis
Too
Smith.
dumb.
This is Curtis Smith.
He, too dumb to speak, Curtis Smith, but, oh well.
I thought I was better.
You are. I'm an idiot, so.
What's new? Okay.
Nothing. You can understand me, at least. I'm just a moron, so. We'll see how that goes.
Again, what's new? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
On this show, we'll probably start out most of the podcast with sports and stuff and whatever's on amount about that, and probably divulge into general bullshittery. So today, sports are happening.
As they are pretty much every day.
Yeah.
But at least over the last few days, it's been a very exciting NFL Combine, which I've been spending a lot of time watching. I know you haven't.
No. See, just to clarify, he's more of a NFL and NBA, not NBA,
No,
and MLB is what I meant to say. More of a baseball and football guy. I'm more of a hockey and baseball guy.
That said, I'm still a good hoser, so
Yeah.
I gotta love hockey and I gotta love my Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
But
For me, my main teams are the Toronto Maple Leafs, Toronto Blue Jays, and generally I'll root for anything that's from Toronto. But my main two are the Leafs and Jays.
and for me, it's Patriots and Leafs and the Jays, and then to some extent, well, to a good extent, Georgia, because for college football at least. Another thing that you end up never watching, even though you should, because college football is tremendous. And honestly,
I said this to you before, you specifically, Curtis. But the main reason why I don't watch football is
stop and go.
It's really stop and go. I find it's like for every 10 seconds play, there's 30 seconds to stop or something like that. Like I can appreciate, I will sit down and watch it if I'm with someone and it's like, hey, let's watch some football. I won't say no per se.
Yeah.
But if there's a highlight reel thingy on after a thing I'm watching, it's like, yeah, okay, I'll watch it. I'll appreciate good football play, good this play, that play, the other thing.
Yeah. No, I get that. But yeah, I suppose that does tie in with, like I said, the Combine was happening this weekend. Day 3 starts tomorrow as we're recording this. But so far, we've seen some really, really interesting stuff, and a lot of the skill positions have already gone, which has been really fun to watch. And I've also seen some very interesting quotes. Some things have been confirmed that I already knew, like Penn State running back Saquon Barkley being absolutely freakishly athletic with his 4.4 in the 40, 29 reps on the bench, and then a 41-inch vertical. He's a freak, and that was basically confirmed to us this weekend. But with quarterbacks, it was really interesting because I think both Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield need to humble themselves. Baker saying that he's the most accurate quarterback in the draft is a joke, because Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold are both better, and I think Josh Allen from Wyoming has probably the best arm in the draft. But, I mean, Baker's not somebody that I buy into. I know you you love to joke about Johnny Manziel being good. And Bortles.
Just for clarification, as I said earlier, I'm not the biggest into football. But I will generally... I don't have a team for it. Well, I guess you can say I
cheer for the Patriots.
I guess you can say I can can't speak again. I guess you can say I kind of cheer for the Argonauts, but that's CFL. No one really cares about the CFL except for the people in Hamilton.
And nobody cares about the people of Hamilton at all.
But yeah, in terms of the CFL, I guess go Argos. They won it the Grey Cup not that long ago.
Oh yeah, they did this year, huh?
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
But in terms of NFL, I should cheer for good matches, good plays, I guess. So not really necessarily a team, but just to piss off Curtis, I like to cheer for whoever they're against, Pats or against.
It's fine. You can always cheer for the Browns and just be sad.
I got that too, I guess.
I mean, I've basically been sad for, what is it, the past month. I've just been in a never-ending pit of sadness at my Patriots losing in the Super Bowl to Nick fucking Foles and the Eagles.
For reference, this is March 3rd, the evening of March 3rd that we're recording this. So it's been about a month.
A little less than a month as of tomorrow. So, oh, it's so depressing. So I just get to watch the combine and see everything, like see what's going on, and just hope that the Browns do typical Browns things and draft Baker Mayfield first overall, because I mean, clearly, as you can tell, I'm not the biggest fan of Baker Mayfield. I think that he's not really going to be a great NFL quarterback, because, I mean, height's not everything, and he did technically measure above at 6 foot, 6 foot and like 3/8 of an inch or something like that at the combine. But still, there have been realistically two good short quarterbacks in the league. Two that really come to mind, and that's Drew Brees and Russell Wilson. Like I was saying this to you earlier. It's just because Russell Wilson is a freak, and he's incredibly athletic. Like, you know, seriously, he could be playing professional baseball if he actually wanted to. And he got he actually got an at bat the other day in a spring training game for the Yankees. And I'm sure that if he actually felt like being a professional baseball player, he could. So the height really doesn't affect him. And I mean, as we've seen a million times, he runs around and you can just cue up the circus music and watch him make some incredible plays. But and Drew Brees is obviously one of the best passers the league's ever seen, and probably by far the most accurate thrower that has ever been in the NFL. But
speaking of circus music, I remember we were at a local OHL hockey game.
Oh yeah, we were.
While the Tennessee.
That was during the divisional round. So the Vikings and Saints.
Right
before, that was actually the night of the Minneapolis Miracle. Yeah.
Basically, every 3 seconds it felt like.
Yeah.
My phone was going off like field goal, touchdown, field goal, touchdown.
It's with all these updates.
What is going on?
Well, I know that it was coming up on the middle of the second period or third period, and I'm like, oh yeah, no way, the Saints are down. It's 17-0 Vikings, or 17-0 Vikings, and I'm like, oh come on, this would be hilarious. Watch, the Saints are gonna come back, and you're like, hey man,
it's happening.
Look,
it's happening. And then that final pass, you probably saw it once by now.
Of course, everybody has seen that play. And
I'm not even like I said, I'm not even a football fan, but holy shit, that Saints guy should have had that tackle. He could have waited half a second. He could have gotten that tackle.
That's what every Saints fan has been trying to cope with for the past month and a half.
If he waited half a second, or just angled himself different, he would have had that tackle.
I mean, it's a part of it is a coaching, part of that's a coaching error, because obviously a dumb decision. But Marcus Williams was he was a rookie, and I think it does fall on the coaches to be like, hey, take a timeout, go just make a tackle, don't do anything special, don't just tackle him, keep him in bounds, you're good to go. That's all. I mean, I think it was obviously not a great decision on his part to try and do whatever he did, but still.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird play, even from someone who's not.
No, it's fluky. Yeah, that's an uncommon play at best. But yeah, no, I think it was definitely interesting, and I think that Case Keenum is probably going to get a monster contract because of playing way above his skill level. But
Although one of my favorite catches I actually remember seeing was not from this past one.
I swear, if you say the helmet catch, I will
No, not the
lose
helmet
my
catch.
mind on you.
No. It was not from this Super Bowl pass, but the one before.
Edelman.
The Edelman catch.
Yeah. Okay, good. Just because I know your personality, and that would be, hey man, helmet catch. You can never forget, because that's just how you have to be. No, that was incredible. That's finally, like, after all the ridiculous crap that's happened in Super Bowls to the Patriots, like,
Hey, remember against the Giants? That one thing.
it happened twice, man. It's awful. It's ridiculous. It's brutal. Like, some of the stuff that happens in Super Bowls is awful. Like, I mean, I suppose this one passed. To some extent, I think it is across the whole league, though, of star players need to, like, you basically need to pull a gun on a star player in order to actually be called for pass interference. It's kind of ridiculous, because it feels like, if I'm watching the Falcons, for example, it feels like almost every play somebody's holding Julio Jones or there's some form of pass interference, and it never gets called because he's just so good. And I get, like, officiating's such a mess in the NFL. It really is.
Speaking of interference, bad calls.
Oh God.
Goalie interference calls in the NHL.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Those are some of the that's what the hell goes on.
Like, this season, in terms of goalie interference calls against the Leafs, have been horrendous. Like, there have been some goals that should have been allowed that Matthews have gone.
Yeah.
That Matthews have gotten. Like, no, that's goalie interference. In which
like some portion of his skate is across into the crease. It's
and then something like someone scores on Anderson, or quote unquote scores.
Yeah.
Babcock is like, hey, that's goalie interference, and they check it. And it's like, no, he's just like
apparently
in the.
Not.
It's not goalie interference. He's just in the crease on top of him.
Yeah. No, it like I really, a lot of those calls are just brutal. Like, goaltender interference is such a weird one to try and decide whether it's legit or not. And for so many players, like, it seems that the NHL, they don't, like, what really is goalie interference? You have no, like, there's nothing that seems to be clear or consistent about it, which to some extent
consistency is what the big thing is.
Yeah.
What it really should be is if the offender is in the blue line, touching the goalie in a way that could prevent him from moving.
Exactly.
That's what it should be, but apparently no.
It depends. Yeah, it depends. I mean, every football fan knows it would be saying, as we're complaining about this, the same thing is, yeah. Same problem with the catch rules in the NFL. Nobody knows what the fuck a catch is anymore. Like, surviving the ground is now part of it, and I'm confused as to what it is, because it seemed like the same play happened twice against the Patriots. Once in the Super Bowl and once against the Steelers. Against the Steelers, not a catch, not a touchdown, which leads to a game-sealing interception for the Pats. And against the Eagles, I guess it is a catch. Now, touchdown. What? Take your pick. It's one way or the other. And, like, that's exactly, like, I can't stand inconsistent rules in regards to that, because it's just like, pick what something is, and if it meets the criteria, then it's good, and if it doesn't, then it's not.
Like, the goalie interference thing in the NHL has been so kind of angered, like, a lot of like players and stuff, a decent amount of players,
Oh, definitely.
like goalies, forwards, like everyone. Like
Everybody
back
is-
at the All-Star game like a couple weeks ago,
Right.
Matthews, you know, just before that, Matthews had that celly that was like the goal symbol,
Yeah.
right? That celly.
Right.
He got Jack Eichel of the Sabres to do that exact thing in the All-Star game. It was kind of funny.
That's great. Yeah. It's such a shame. Like, I feel bad for Jack Eichel, honestly. Because he's really, really talented. But he's stuck in Buffalo.
Like there was
Buffalo's
over
so
the past couple
garbage.
of years or whatever. There's been a couple of like either first round picks or like some other like really good people that stuck on either
Yeah.
bad teams or mediocre teams.
Yeah.
Like up until this year, I thought Taylor Hall of the Devils
Yep.
was kind of should be on like a better team. He should be winning a lot more. But this year the Devils are doing fairly well.
Yeah, no, and
But,
I think
like-
the Devils are really good, and they have some really like they've got some really good talent on that team, which I mean it's helpful. Like you've got Corey Schneider, you've got Nico Hischier, and I think Nino Niederreiter's also
Yeah,
still on the Devils, or is he? I think so.
Yeah, them pulling for the the first pick in the last draft. Oh,
Yeah,
it should have gone to Colorado. It ultimately should have.
but it's
The lottery
Colorado.
system. The lottery system is kind of weird. It makes for like an entertaining thing.
I guess,
It makes
but
it
at
for
the same
entertaining,
time,
but at the same time, it kind of fucks over some
I
people.
don't think that it's. I don't believe in a. I don't like a draft lottery. I really don't, because
Or just like alter the way that the percentages are.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe
but
instead of, like-
even still,
instead
I
of-
think it's like, could you imagine how ridiculous that would be in pretty much any other sport? Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, you know, what in baseball, if you've got a team that goes 60 and 102 and they're the worst team in the league, then they should be the one to get the first pick, rather than a team who went like 70 and 92. Like,
Well, if they
why
are,
you're doing a lottery is beyond me.
it
with
seems
the
like they're
NHL.
gonna keep it for at least now.
Yeah.
I think they, at the very least, change the percentages slightly. Like, say if you finish last, instead of
Hopefully.
instead of like max 20%, it's
Yeah.
like max 25 or something.
I guess. I still just I think it should be straight up, because that makes it a lot easier. It makes it a lot easier and more consistent to deal with if you have a straight up, you had the worst record, therefore you have the first pick, the way it is in, I believe, every other sport, but you'd have to fact check me on the NBA, because I don't pay enough attention to basketball.
Neither
to
of us
know
really do.
which-
The most I pay attention to is like, hey, did the Raptors win? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
like I'll pay attention when the Raps are in the playoffs, but even then, it's just like I can't watch basketball for the stupidest reason ever. Of every time their shoes squeak on the floor, I want to die. It's awful. That is the reason I can't watch basketball. And I mean, part of it is because it's like, yay, the Cavs and Warriors are gonna play for the NBA Finals. Fantastic. Like, give me something, give me some parity. Like, allow you know, the NHL is great for that. It's like, I don't know who's gonna win for the most part. You don't know, like,
Except for a couple
what
years ago in which it was flip-flopping
Yeah.
between the Blackhawks and Bruins or something like that.
Blackhawks and Kings,
Kings,
when they
rather,
were
yeah.
going back and forth. But it's like, still, for the most part, teams that can make the playoffs, it's a toss-up, rather than, like, the NBA is so, yeah. So LeBron and Steph Curry are going to be guaranteed to play, or like are all but guaranteed to play each other in the finals, it seems like. You know, sure, that
Destiny.
can change, but it just seems like the two best players in the world are going to be, their teams are going to be playing against each other, and that's not really that like, it's not really that enjoyable.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, it's good sports are good sports, whether or not which team it is, I guess.
I guess so, yeah, definitely, but
Like,
still.
if it's like down to like the 7th game and overtime,
Yeah.
and it's like 123 to 123, it's gonna be interesting no matter
Yeah,
what.
no, you're definitely, like, there's nothing that I'm saying that means, like, I couldn't enjoy it. I just like I think what I like about sports is when it's, you know, like, unpredictable, rather than just going, yeah, the Warriors and Cavs are gonna play each other in the finals. Like, great. It's the same as like, I don't really have any want to watch the AFC playoffs most years, because it's like, yeah, it's going to be the Patriots and Steelers, or it's going to be the Patriots and Broncos, or Colts, depends on the year and where Peyton Manning was playing. Or it's like, it feels like it was, it really has, I think since 2003, it's been 4 quarterbacks, for the AFC that have played in the Super Bowl. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, and Joe Flacco. And Flacco only played in the Super Bowl once. So it's like...
It counts, though.
No, obviously it counts, and they won. But it's just like... Come on. Really? Like, it's not exciting to watch the AFC playoffs, because you just go, yeah, the Patriots are gonna dominate, and they're gonna make it at least to the AFC Championship, if not to the Super Bowl. And I don't like things being super predictable with sports. There's some things that you go, yeah, like, you're going to have a good team. You're gonna have some teams that are just flat out better, and you can easily predict them to be in the playoffs. But I don't like it when it's so obvious that you're like, yeah, there's no two ways about it. This is just, they're gonna be pretty obvious.
Like this year in the Atlantic Division in the NHL, it is almost guaranteed that it's going to be Tampa, Toronto, and Boston.
Yeah, certainly not Montreal this year. Oh my god.
It's all but guaranteed that it's going to be them 3. The only thing that's really up for debate is who's against who.
Yeah, really. Fair enough. I mean, and that's kind of like, it's boring. It gets boring when things are too predictable, and that's why, like, I like it. I like, especially with the NHL this year, there's so much going on that you don't know who's going to be.
It'd be kind of interesting, but at the same time not. If the NHL this year had a similar storyline to the NFL, to have like the Pittsburgh in the finals against someone and then lose it.
You make me sad. You make me very sad.
It'd be kind of an interesting parallel. You know what I mean? No,
definitely, and I think it is cool to see. When you have sort of dynasty teams that, they go down to this these sort of upstart teams that you didn't really expect to be there.
Like Pittsburgh the past couple of years, the Leafs back in the 60s, 50s and 60s.
This is how far back we have to go as Leafs fans to try and find any happy memories.
Well, I mean, I think what the late
35 years before we were born.
the late 90s, early 2000s, we were okay.
Meh, fine.
And then we kind of slumped for the past 15 years.
Came back. We were kind of horrible for 15 years consecutively. Yeah,
and then we got Matthews, and everything changed.
Everything got better.
Matthews is a Leaf.
Yeah. You can never forget. No, Leafs are winning soon. It's gonna happen.
Bold prediction. Well, not really bold, but modest prediction within the next 5 years, 3 to 5 years.
Yeah,
Leafs are winning.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. I think they really have they're really able to put it all together. It seems like, which is good.
Our defensive core is slowly being built. Our offensive core is right now really strong. We have a good netminder in Anderson. Although I kind of wish we played McElhinney a little bit more so we can
make sure that
he's fully healthy.
Yeah,
so we don't strain him a little too much.
Yeah,
because he's amongst the highest played games amongst goalies right now.
Yeah, and the problem is with the Maple Leafs on defense, they give up way too many shots. Like
almost 100 before tonight's game started.
Yeah, almost
100 over the second place shots against is Anderson. He's almost 1,800 shots.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's game, 64 tonight? 65?
I think so. Yeah, right around there. But it's like the Leafs give up way too many shots against. And so when you combine that with playing your goalie like almost every single game.
I think McElhinney has almost 10 games or something like that.
Yeah, so that's virtually nothing.
Yeah.
And that's really not great when you have a guy who has to face that many shots every night, because between a little bit between injuries and a little bit between players not being that great on the Leafs defense, outside of a few players who I think are really, really good.
Namely, Dermott, which isn't even fully a Leaf yet. He's still technically a Maple Leaf for the most part, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Riley.
And, of course, Morgan Riley,
who's my guy.
Yeah.
Hall, when he's up, has been good.
And, I mean, outside of outside of when he's been injured, Nikita Zaitsev, I think, is really, really excellent. But it's just a problem of... a little, like I said, a little bit. There have been some injuries on the defensive side for the Leafs that have hurt them, but I think it's more than that. Just there are a lot of guys that really shouldn't be there, but unfortunately, because every other team realizes that Jake Gardiner is garbage, the Leafs are almost forced to keep him. And really, like, the only it'll be almost waiting for his contract to expire and then just not re-sign him, because why would you do that?
I think one of the main reasons why he hasn't been waived quite yet is because we don't have much in the way to replace him.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's the best. He's sort of the best option at this point in time. Yeah,
and even if we do waive him, who the hell's going to be picking him up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And do you think you get slightly off topic from the defense? Don't you find it kind of not ironic, but like kind of coincidental that Lupul hasn't been playing the past 2 years due to injury? Like, he hasn't played a single game since the start of last season.
Wow.
And we're doing well.
I mean,
little bit of a coinky dink. Little bit.
Yeah, to some extent. I think he's fine. I think he's a fine player.
He's just way too injury prone. Really.
That's really the issue with him, is he's just like, which is really unfortunate, because like I said, he's he's pretty talented and everything. It's just a matter of like, he just gets hurt so much.
Speaking from experience, yeah, way too much.
Yeah, both of us actually, but you just can't stop breaking your collarbone.
Nope, my head doesn't seem to like to be fine either.
Yeah.
2 concussions, 2 broken collarbones, same one both times. Cut my heart open once, but whatever.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I think with like, the NHL's been really interesting this year, and I'm excited to see what ends up happening, because so far, like, it seems, things are starting to shake out as to well, maybe not quite yet, but they are shaping up a little bit for who's going to be in the playoffs. To some extent, I still think right now.
Oh, sorry, tonight's the 67th game for the Leafs.
Okay,
but yeah, it's Tampa has 66 games, Toronto has 66 games, Boston has 63.
Yeah.
We're closing in on the last stretch of the regular season.
Yeah,
I say soon enough, Tampa is going to clinch at least playoff spot. Then probably shortly after first place in the Atlantic.
Definitely. I think Tampa's been playing really, really well this year.
Kucherov has been amazing. Stamkos has been amazing. Vasilevsky's been amazing.
Yeah, they've been playing fantastic hockey, and I think that they're kind of a team to watch, for go, like, they could go all the way.
Yeah,
I wouldn't altogether be shocked. The Penguins are going to play well in the playoffs. They always do. That's part and parcel with having, 2 of the best players in the league, and the guy who at this point is probably still the best hockey player in the world in Sidney Crosby, even though McDavid will make a case for that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, once the Oilers come back up from the little bit of a slump they've been having this year.
The Oilers have been in a slump for the past, like,
going back
years.
into the slump they've been having.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the
past 2
Oilers
years
have been terrible for a good long time now.
And then had 2 good seasons, now they're back in a slump.
Yep.
Hopefully that's not the case for the Leafs.
But at least they're not the Coyotes. We can. What
Yeah.
they have, like,
how many points do they
what do they have, like 5 wins this year? Honestly,
overall.
I feel bad for all 5 of the Coyotes fans in the world.
They're right now, as of before the night ends, 19, 34, and 10, meaning 48 points. For reference, Tampa Bay, who's first in the league, has 94. The goals against, the goals against is 208, with a goal differential of negative 55.
They're so terrible. They have what I think.
There's only one team with a worse goal differential. It's only by 2.
I don't know.
The Buffalo Sabres with 57.
Yeah, because Buffalo is constantly terrible.
Yeah, Ladner is a really iffy goalie. Some nights he's really good, other nights he's just not that good.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean,
and they have a couple of good team members. Not a whole lot.
What, they have Jack Eichel, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
really.
okay.
He's also one of those people that really should be on a better team.
Oh, definitely.
Or at least have the team built more so around him.
Yeah, because he has the ability to be a star.
Yeah.
And he's a really talented player, so I think that he could step up if he had the opportunity, but it's being a really good player surrounded by garbage talent. To some extent, I suppose you can carry a team like that, but you can only carry it for so long.
For so long and so much. Like,
exactly.
This isn't basketball where you can have like
where you can have one
2
guy,
people.
Yeah, 1 or 2 guys totally carry you. You know,
Golden State cough.
Yeah, you can have Steph Curry and Kevin Durant carry you through everything and go win. But I mean, the Warriors, of course, have really good talent.
Outside of that,
all around them. But you can carry a lot more. To some extent, you can only carry so much with a lot of sports. Like Aaron Rodgers is forced to do that with Green Bay, and we saw that with Rodgers getting hurt this year. That's not too surprising that the Packers don't make the playoffs because he is a ridiculously talented quarterback surrounded by garbage players outside of him for the most part. Like he's got of course, I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from any of them on the basis of of course they are very, very good athletes. You don't make it professionally without being that. But I think, but comparatively, it's like the talent on the Packers really isn't good. You know, I think it's like outside of probably HaHa Clinton Dix and basically him. Honestly, everything else is mediocre. You know, the talent that the Packers have is mediocre at best outside of Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah,
and when you, which is a problem because I think that, you know, when you have that and you have teams that are one really good guy surrounded by everybody else who's not that good, it sucks to see because you're you deserve to be on a much better team than you are.
Yeah. But at the same time, correct me if I'm wrong, but you need more than just a good quarterback to carry your offense. Most definitely, right?
Fair enough.
You also need a couple good running backs and stuff. People who can catch, really.
I suppose. Yeah, you want to, but the one thing is, and I suppose it is something that I'm not the biggest fan of in the world, you need a franchise quarterback in the NFL. Otherwise, if you don't have that, you will not go anywhere.
You need someone who can throw, you need someone who can catch.
Yeah, I guess, but
because
even then,
if you can't catch,
wide receivers are interchangeable. All those positions, receivers, running backs, they're a dime a dozen in the NFL, and they can easily be interchangeable. You don't need to have
a star one.
Yeah,
but it helps.
It
definitely helps.
Yeah, it does, But at the same time, wide receivers are not the number one priority, you know? Okay, great. You have Odell Beckham. So what? Who cares? He's fancy. That's great. I don't care. Be consistent and be an adult. Like that's what I want. And it's like you need to have a quarterback, because so what if you're a super talented wide receiver? You are, honestly, wide receivers and running backs are they are complementary pieces to a great quarterback. And sure, you can have situations where a quarterback who may not necessarily be the guy plays way above his skill level or whatever it may be. You know, Case Keenum did that with the Vikings, and of course Nick Foles played better than we thought that he could play for the Eagles over the last few weeks of the season. Since after Carson Wentz went down with the torn ACL, it was like I thought the Eagles season was over personally. I thought they were gonna go and lose in the playoffs, and of course they proved myself and everybody who thought that they were done wrong. And so there are cases like that, but for the most part, you do need a franchise quarterback to carry the team. If you at least you can get into the playoffs without one, but you need a quarterback to carry the team to actually win a Super Bowl.
To stay in the playoffs, yeah.
Exactly.
At the same time, you also need a good defensive core and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Just like in any game, any sport.
No, definitely. But I'll say to some extent, I think it's why I really do prefer baseball in some senses to that, because you don't need stars in baseball.
No, you just need a couple good hitters, good defensive.
You just need, with baseball, you need good fundamental defense, good pitching, and just
couple good hitters.
Solid player, just playing small ball. And you can win a World Series like that. The Royals won in 2015 with their best, yes, they have Salvi and they have Mike Moustakas, but they're really not, those are guys who are good, but they're not the best at their position in the league. You know, they're not some of they're really, really good, sure, but not they're going to be crazy players. You know, there are guys at their positions that you would take before you would choose to take them for your team. And so I think that's kind of interesting that in baseball you just need to have good pitching, fundamental defense, and small ball. And the reason that, you know, when the Royals played the Blue Jays in the 2015 ALCS, the reason they won was because the Jays were reliant on hitting homers. And when they couldn't do that, they were screwed. And that's kind of the problem. It's
you can only totally lost to the pitching.
Exactly. You can only get so far on big plays. And it's, you know, whether it's hitting homers in baseball or whether it's having fancy running or wide receivers that do their dancing and talk all this smack and do stuff like that. I mean, guys like Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham that just talk a whole bunch and are, you know, big personalities and whatever. You can only go so far with that.
Yeah,
you encounter a team that it's you can get far enough, but eventually you're going to lose to a team that's a better system, that's a better, more consistent, more controlled. It's why the Steelers can't beat the Patriots, and it was why the Jays lost to the Royals and then to Cleveland in 2015 and 2016 in the ALCS, because you encountered a team who could play small ball, who could have good fundamental defense, have great pitching, and of course got some good timing. But you can only get so far being the team that is super emotional and super super high strung and makes all these big plays, but a lot of the time doesn't really focus too much on details.
Yeah, at the same time, doesn't hurt to have star players in baseball.
No,
Like,
It'll
like
never-
for example,
yeah.
when the Jays lost Encarnacion before last season, that was a massive hit to the Jays. Huge. Like we were like for the past like 2 or 3 years beforehand, we were making the playoffs. Then we were closer to the last,
Yeah.
that last year, right? But like, of course, it'd be nice and all. It's nice and all to have the Superman, right?
No, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it, and having star players is great. Like I would never turn down the opportunity to have Bryce Harper, but like the Nationals didn't even make the playoffs this year, or oh no, they did. Maybe they may not have. Actually, wait. No, I think they did. Yeah, the Nationals did make the playoffs. They lost to the Dodgers, but they lost in the first round of the playoffs, and then the Angels, who have Mike Trout, they've got Mike Trout, and he's probably, if it isn't Bryce Harper, he is the best player in the league, and they don't even make the playoffs. So, having star players is great, and they can carry you and everything.
Like having the Pelos on your defense, having the Donaldsons on your offense,
Yeah, definitely.
obviously helps. Obviously,
There's nothing wrong with that, but
you need more people to back them up.
yeah, exactly. You can't just be reliant on one star. You can in a lot of team sport, in a lot of team sports, you can't really be reliant on one star.
It's always nice to have like the Matthews or something, but at the same time, you kind of need the Nylander to support them.
Yeah,
you need the Hyman to support them.
Yeah, absolutely. You need extra players around them to help that. Because like with baseball, when you're talking about your pitching, your pitcher throws once every 5 days. They throw once every 5 games. So sure, you can have Max Scherzer. Who are your other 4? You need to have. I'd rather have 5 slightly above average pitchers than 1 all-star and 4 guys who really aren't that great.
Yeah,
you want consistent wins, not just one guy who's super, super good.
a couple guys who are just above average.
Yeah.
Starting. You also really need a good relievers at the same time, who can pitch well for like an inning or two, close to the end.
Absolutely.
Because yes, it's nice to have a lead, but it's even better to keep that lead.
Yeah. And having really good bullpen pitchers is massive, and it can end up 2016 ALCS, Andrew Miller basically single-handedly shut down the Blue Jays. They were they could be playing out of their mind, and then Cleveland just puts in Andrew Miller and shut him down. That was it.
I remember that.
They were done. It was what's this dude doing? It was crazy, and so you need to have players around them and around all of your guys, but not be too reliant on one star. And to some extent, you can have one star player, and then everything else can be interchangeable pieces of really good supporting cast type of guys. Of course, the Patriots do a great job with that. The one consistent thing is Tom Brady, and then they just surround him with a whole host of other players that are completely interchangeable, and it's wait, who's this 7th round pick quarterback playing receiver for us? And then, oh wait, Julian Edelman's a beast. Where'd he come from? What are you doing here?
For example, for kind of holding on to a star player and hoping they carry you through. For example, the past couple of years with the Montreal Canadiens and Carey Price.
Huge example.
Yes, Price, with the exception of this year, has been a great, amazing goalie. I mean, he's had a couple good games here and there this year, but for the most part, he's been either
this hasn't been a great.
Yeah, he's either been
it's
injured.
Been a down year for him.
He's either been injured or just like not on his best, right? But before that, they could score a decent amount of goals. Scoring wasn't necessarily a problem with them.
No,
for the most part. But at the same time, they have a similar problem to. They had a similar problem to what the Leafs are having now.
Yeah.
Like, they are scoring, they can make it to the playoffs.
But they can't get over the hump.
They can't go over the hump because they're giving in a little too much to, like, oh yeah, we got Price, we're fine. Right?
Fair enough. I get, when you have a world-class talent, you can sometimes get a little lazy about it, about taking care of them. And I think that's a perfect example of, being too reliant on a star player because, of course, Carey Price, I think, is the best goalie in the world. I really do. Of course, this year's been a down year for him, and
everyone has a slump every now and then.
Yeah, and it's a combination of sure everybody has a down year, and then also being injured
every third week.
Yeah, honestly, constantly being injured is really, taking its toll.
Getting a bad case of the loopholes.
Yeah. No, definitely, but I think it's that's kind of the thing is with the Habs and with Price, you see a team get completely exposed for who they are when they lose their star player.
Yeah.
Because you can think, oh yeah, the Canadiens and the Packers are great teams. Their star goes down and you go, oh wait, they're a star player carrying a garbage roster.
Yeah, I don't know much about the Canadiens' prospect pool. So I don't know how well they'll be in the next couple of years or whatever. But I honestly hope the Leafs get better defense, stay as good as they are now for the next couple of years, have the Canadiens get better to roughly the skill level of what the Leafs are right now.
Yeah.
Because at this year specifically, the Leafs Habs games, everyone gets so hyped for those because it's like classic rivalry. Yeah. Yay! But it's been fairly one-sided for the most part this year. For the most part.
Fair enough.
Between the two of them, I want them to see.
You do want that.
I want the rivalry to be.
Yeah, you want the rivalries to be what they should be.
And I also at the same time.
I just want all the Canadian. Well, I think you and I are on the same page. We just both would really like all the Canadian teams to be doing great, just as a fuck you to Gary Bettman. Because, I mean, he is absolutely awful.
There's I've been saying this pretty much my entire life because at one point I was living just outside of Halifax.
Yeah.
I want Halifax to have a team. I mean, it might not have the most populated team. I mean, it plays. But at the same time, Buffalo has less people in it than the place we're living now, and we're in Kitchener-Waterloo. They have a lower population than what we do.
Well, yeah.
But so what? And I think Halifax are good 300,000 people, 400,000 people.
Yeah, and they have enough other cities around them that could actually they can pull from to have
whether it be St. John's, Mount Pearl area in Newfoundland, whether it be Charlottetown from PEI, whether it be Fredericton.
There's enough to support a team there. I think
enough. Yeah.
And
even people from Maine, even
to some extent, yeah, certainly. I think it's they easily could have
but 400,000 people.
Okay, just over 400,000. But I think it's kind of huge to have a team there, and I think Canadians want to have teams to see. They want to have hockey is of course so. I know it's it's a stereotype and everything, but it really is huge in Canada, and so Quebec City should get the Nordiques back. Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it be called the Nordiques again, it's up to whoever. But
Quebec City deserves to have a team again, and so does Halifax. Because really, there are teams. All 4 of the fans that show up to Coyotes games, and all 3 of the fans that show up to Panthers games, come on, really?
Either move or.
But that's kind of the problem. Is they should
be
relocated.
I think, although at the same time, I think one of the reasons why Panthers games don't have as much
is because they're in Sunrise. Nobody wants to drive 30 minutes outside of the city to go watch a terrible hockey team.
I was going to say, largely due to how well Tampa's been doing the past couple of years.
Fair.
They've been kind of stealing the spotlight out of Florida, right?
I guess, but it is that, and I think it is also like a good franchise, a good team endears itself to the locals because it's like, well, with Vegas doing so well, they've been
very good inaugural year. Yeah,
that's how you're gonna that's how you bring in fans is by playing well.
Yeah,
when you're a team that is just terrible the way the Panthers are, and you combine that with playing in Sunrise, like, come on. Nobody wants to drive 30 minutes outside the city through horrible traffic in order to go watch a team that isn't good.
And like on the note again about giving the Quebec City the team back, you see how well received Winnipeg was when they got their team back.
Yeah.
Oh, when they were ecstatic when they got the Jets back.
Huge. Yeah, absolutely. You think Quebec wouldn't be like that? But, I mean, the problem is, it's just Gary Bettman is always going to be in the way. And I think he, he's absolutely the worst commissioner of the major sports, by far. Like, even, yes, Roger Goodell has his problems. And, the NFL sort of, hey, man, what are you going to get? Like, you have a problem, what's the suspension going to be? You can never really tell. And there are problems, and that needs to be addressed. But, God, Gary Bettman is just the worst.
Speaking of Gary Bettman being icky,
yeah,
the Olympics
ended
not that long ago. Yeah. Canada, good old Canada came in, third? Something like that?
Yeah, second or third. I think this was, I think
it was Norway, Germany, Canada. I think, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
I think
in the overall medal count, and
we did fairly well.
Yeah, the Olympics was great.
But for the most part, I wasn't really paying attention that much.
Fair.
Because
part of it was,
due
Korea
to Bettman
with the hockey,
and the hockey thing. Because the Olympics are supposed to be a showmanship of the best of each sport. And why not let the best hockey players in the world? Yes, it is unfair and a little bit more biased between the Canada and the States.
I guess.
I can see that much. But at the same time, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, all these people also have, albeit not as much, a lot of good players in the NHL.
Russia
as well, with like Kucherov and all that.
Yeah.
It's just not fair because a lot of people would like, albeit I don't think as much as people. Not many people, but there were a lot of people threatening, like, "Hey, we'll leave and go join over in like Russia, or go some European league,
play in the KHL or whatever."
Yeah,
yeah. And I'm
like, I think Ovi even threatened to. He ultimately didn't.
Well,
but
yeah.
I mean,
but I think that's what I mean is like, to some extent with the Olympics, I guess it is technically supposed to be amateur athletes, but at the same time, like. The IOC already said, the NHL can play. You guys can, like, we'll allow professional hockey players to play. And I think I like it. I'm excited about that because, of course I want to see the best hockey players in the world playing for their country. And I do think that it wasn't necessarily fair that the NHL wasn't involved, but all the other pro leagues were involved in hockey this year for the Olympics. But of course it was great. And it was amazing to see the Cinderella story for Germany, even though they ultimately came up short and got silver there. But still, it's nice to see the Cinderella story. But, oh my God, what the hell are we going to have to do in order to get Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby on the same line? Like, just like that's all hockey fans want to see.
For example, what is it? 2018? Was it the 2010 Olympics with Sid's goal?
Incredible!
Like, that was a huge moment.
Yeah, that was story.
Not as many people will cared this year, I don't think, for Olympic hockey. Yeah. I mean, well, there were some people that did care,
of course,
but like it's for example, not that I didn't really pay attention much to it.
It's not that I don't. It wasn't that I didn't care about it, but it was just that
I could have cared more.
Yeah, it wasn't that exciting, because I don't want to see the second. I don't want to see the second best group of athletes we can put out there. Like, I wouldn't settle for like, I guess, with snowboarding, I wouldn't settle for watching the second best snowboarders that the U.S. could put out. I want to see the best one. I want to see Shaun White go. I want to see all these guys, like all of these snowboarders that are the best in the world. I don't want to see second best. I don't want to see the guys that are almost as good.
Like, well, yes, there will be a couple highlights here and there, but not as highlight really. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's what kind of what the Olympics kind of are, highlight reels.
Fair enough. They are sort of a real life highlight reel for all those sports. Just
like the Olympics are really supposed to be togetherness and
it's a show
in friendly competition, right?
And it's a show of the best athletes in the world at their sports. And I really don't understand the purpose behind Bettman deciding that the NHL wasn't going to be participating, because the players want to play, and
there's a lot of public outcry from the players when it was announced, I believe.
Yeah, because the players want to go and represent their country at the Olympics, and they want the opportunity for that. But for Bettman, I guess losing some money for those 2 weeks that the Olympics are on every 4 years is too much to ask.
Yeah.
And I get it. Maybe you don't, like, I do understand part of it of you don't want, say, Connor McDavid, your rising star, this dude who's just a beast, to go out to go play in the Olympics and, say, break his leg, and all of a sudden he's out for the next few months. Like, that would be like that's really, really tough, but it is a risk that you take. And I think if the players want to be playing, so I think you should I think they should have the opportunity to play in the Olympics. But that's just sort of my takeaway.
And another thing would probably be a lot of people kind of want to see, like, people, let's say, like, at Toronto, for example. We would like to see a game between Sweden and the U.S. where Nylander's on the line against Matthews.
Yeah.
That would be cool, because they were the line
Exactly.
mates. The line mates, they would, like, it would be cool to see, a cool storyline to see them face off against each other.
And it's like, when you get the opportunity, what I really want to see is like, I would want to see Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid on the same line. I think that would be huge. That'd be so exciting. But unfortunately, that's just not really going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think it's a good idea to allow them to play, but at the same time, I get the reasoning why they wouldn't be, and I suppose it does make it a little more unfair in that regard, because if you allow professionals, then then it really does sort of crush out the Cinderella stories of, like Germany, for example, this year goes all the way to the gold medal game. They knock out Canada. Like, crazy. They knocked out Canada and Sweden on their en route to the gold medal game, and unfortunately they lost to Russia there. But like, it does hurt that, because that's not a storyline that necessarily happens when you allow, Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby and Jonathan Toews for Canada, and Matthews and Patrick Kane and all them for the U.S. Like, it makes it a lot easier for these countries that produce the most NHL players to dominate at the Olympics.
Yeah, well, yeah. The argument for being, like, a little too repetitive is a valid one.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's almost not fair to people who want to play. Like we've said before.
Although, what I will say is, I can understand it, because with certain sports, it's like, if football were to make it into the Olympics as a sport,
football as an American football.
Yes, sorry. American football, which I will be always referring to as football, and I will refer to soccer as soccer.
Just in case for any like European people.
Yeah, just to clarify that. No, if American football was allowed to be in the Olympics,
which I don't see it happen.
No, it won't happen because what would happen is, especially if professionals were allowed to play, the U.S. would beat Canada in the gold medal game 70-0.
Because literally the only people in the world who actually play American football are really Americans and Canadians, right?
Yeah,
Everyone else.
well, Germany too. There are some, but like it does get played around the world, sure,
but not as much.
So much. And that's kind of the thing is like, especially allowing like amateurs would make it a little more exciting to see, but even still, I think that when you allow, like if you were to allow professionals in, it wouldn't be fun to watch because America would just go, yeah, we're gonna win every single game by 70 points, and then go and win the gold medal. Like nobody's gonna want to watch that, and so I think that like, I suppose that that's probably why it will never be an Olympic sport, or maybe not never, but won't be for a good number of years left. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on from that, I think this will probably be our last little story thing we'll have here.
Little
Seattle recently.
Rainy. Seattle is rainy and miserable. Yep.
Just not what I was gonna say, but yeah, sure, that's all true, all well and true. Seattle recently put in their name into the hat for a NHL team.
Yep.
Some of you may have heard that. I mostly definitely have. I browsed Reddit enough.
Oh, that's just awful to think about. Sitting there in a dark corner browsing Reddit. Like that's honestly how I imagine everybody on Reddit is, just sitting there in a dark corner and like staring at whatever subreddit they're looking at that I really honestly never want to see.
Oh, are you saying people don't do that for like 4chan and shit?
I was gonna say. I mean, I was just about to say 4chan is probably worse.
It most definitely is.
Much worse.
But anyway, Seattle.
Yeah.
Seattle recently put it in their hat, like not that long ago, within the past couple of weeks, and recently, a couple days ago, started selling tickets, kind of like to like test the waters and stuff. And it says here on when you just Google Seattle NHL, the top story here, released 5 hours ago, as of recording this, says Seattle NHL bid takes 33K season ticket deposits in under 48 hours. Waitlist started for shutout fans. So that's 33,000 people saying, yes, I accept that. I'm not quite sure if that's only in Seattle itself or if it's extending just like all of Washington or southern BC. Yeah. But I imagine with like where it is, how close it is to...
I mean, if I were a Canucks fan, I'd probably want to cheer for any other team as well, so I couldn't blame them from going to Seattle.
Yeah. Canucks not doing that well this season. I think they were, 5th or 6th from the bottom?
Probably.
But yeah, Seattle seems to be creating a general bit of a buzz in the NHL scene, hockey scene. So I'd personally like to see them. That's probably one of the few American cities left that I'd like to see.
Yeah, I think it would be cool. And I think Seattle would support it. They really are a good sport. Like, Seattle is a good sports city.
Yeah, with the Mariners and the...
Yeah. They're a unique... Yeah. Like, Seattle's a very unique city. It's a really cool... it's a cool place, and I think they could definitely... I think they would come out to support... an NHL team. And... I mean, I think that the uniforms would probably end up looking really cool because, I'm sure they would do something, Seattle being the Emerald City and whatnot, I'm sure they would do something cool with a green color scheme. I think they could make it look really, really cool.
Although, based on the other teams, I'd imagine them going with blue again.
Blue and green, probably.
Yeah.
I think so. I wouldn't be too surprised. I mean, for the most part, I think the uniforms in Seattle are actually not bad, most of them.
I like the Mariners logo. It's the wheel.
Yeah. No, that's the thing, is Seattle can do some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it will, involve both with the Seahawks and Mariners. I think I'm sure it'll involve something
along the lines of like
yeah,
the ocean and stuff.
Yeah, something to do with the ocean. I guess to some extent, like, which is kind of cool. I like when cities all sort of keep things similar.
Yeah.
That can be fairly interesting. Because it's like, I guess a lot of teams, like out in the Eastern Seaboard tend to do, like the New England Patriots, and then I believe the MLS team is the Revolution, like the New England Revolution, and there's some pretty cool stuff with that.
With like a
with
the history of the team.
Yeah, exactly.
Or surrounding areas like
yeah.
Like having the Washington Capitals, right? Being the
well, that's a great example.
And
actually,
the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, it's like Washington. How every team based out of DC. Okay, most of the teams based out of DC. You've got the Capitals and the Nationals, and like, I think that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
Well, I guess 2 of the 4 teams, and then the Wizards, and then I don't. We don't.
The other one.
The other one that I'm not a fan of, even in the slightest. Honestly, fuck you, Dan Snyder. Go die. Thanks.
Okay.
That's
so,
that's not serious. Disclaimer. I don't actually need anybody to be.
A quick PSA.
Yeah.
Fuck racism.
That's
been another PSA for the day. Fuck racism.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway.
No, but that's just.
So anyway,
Yeah, no, I think it'd be pretty cool for Seattle to get
get an NHL team.
An NHL team.
So,
like I said, I'd rather Halifax or Quebec City get one before Seattle.
Yeah, because I think we need more Eastern teams at the moment because Vegas going in last, right?
Fair enough. Or at least a conference
I
would want a realignment because...
Yeah, make Nashville in the East.
That's what I was going to say.
Nashville's in the West for some reason.
Yeah, Nashville
Look at the map. It's on the eastern side of it. What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. Nashville, like, Tennessee is in the eastern United States.
Pretty much in its entirety, I believe, right?
Yeah. Like, it's not... Like, the University of Tennessee plays in the Southeastern Conference. They're not playing in the Pac-12 or something. Like what? Like it. A lot of that doesn't make any sense as to why they're like. I think a lot of it I think needs a realign.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's. I think we're pretty much through what we gotta get through today.
Quick before we end this today here, what's a name that you think would fit a Seattle NHL team?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
What the first thing comes to mind? Maybe not the first thing, but like the first best thing that comes to your mind. If that question makes sense, probably does.
What would I want to call a team in Seattle?
It's
interesting. Yeah, it is tough. I think.
Tough, yeah.
You got anything?
Not off the top of my head because I mean, if we are gonna be keeping it sea based, it's gonna be a little hard.
I guess.
Seaweed sounds dumb.
Yeah, obviously.
Fish and chips is more of an East Coast thing.
You know what? I think
and plus,
I think I have one actually. I think the Seattle Tsunami would be kind of cool. That could be cool.
The Seattle Tsunami kind of sounds.
I think
to me it kind of sounds more like a younger team.
I guess.
Like not necessarily an NHL, but more like an OHL or if it not OHL,
yeah, maybe
A League or like something like that. But,
I kind of like it.
Yeah.
To some extent, I suppose it is a little. It does kind of fit, maybe with soccer a little bit. Almost it feels like, but still, I think. I think it's kind of cool. It is more West Coast. The Pacific is being on the Pacific Northwest. I think it could be kind of cool. There is, I guess, like the Carolina Hurricanes, and like in the NHL at least, and obviously being here in Ontario, we're 30 minutes outside, like 30 minutes away from
45 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, 30, 40 minutes from Guelph, where they have the Guelph Storm. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I actually I will say to some extent, I like the idea of teams that don't necessarily end in an S. I think a lot like they can be kind of cool, you know.
Monsoon. The Seattle Monsoon. Although
That'd be cool.
Wait, is that the MLS team?
No,
No?
I don't think
Isn't
so.
there an MLS team?
There is in Seattle. Let me.
No, isn't there an MLS team with
I'm not sure.
the Monsoon? Or am I thinking of something else? I have no idea.
They always
Shit, they do have... I think...
Sounders.
Sounders. Right,
Yeah,
okay.
the Seattle Sounders.
Because I think
Okay.
TFC... Didn't TFC go up against Seattle when
Maybe.
they won it? Okay, anyway.
I actually, you know what? I think they may have. I don't
that-
pay
oh, yeah,
enough
that's-
attention, which unfortunately
That's another Toronto team that won the cup.
They did.
Their cup recently.
yeah, actually they did do that.
We need the Raptors and Leafs too soon.
Blue Jays.
And Jays, yeah.
I need my Blue Jays to win a World Series. But yeah, I guess let us know actually what you would call a Seattle-based hockey team. I'd be really interested to hear what you have to say. But I think for now we're up around right up about an hour 10. So I think that's probably where we're gonna
End it this week, yeah.
end this week's episode. So thank you for listening. You can if you feel like it, you can follow me on Twitter at Curtis Smitty. You can follow Matt at DravardMC. And yeah,
Subscribe to the channel.
Yep.
And that's for any updates, any future episodes, any other things we might post. Because we might end up doing
we'll see
other
what
things.
happens.
All up to our own thinky brains.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
That's going to be the end of today, of this week's episode. So thank you all for joining us, and
See you
be
next
sure
week.
to join us. Yeah, join us again next week.
This has been the Useless Ideas Podcast, and boom boom pow. See ya.